7 worst prisons in the state of Illinois.
I was more of a target because I spoke out about it.
28-year-old Dion Hampton, who goes by Strawberry, plans to keep talking loudly about what she calls the widespread abuse she suffered in Illinois prisons.
Chicago's top cop says 59 gun shell casings were found after the shooting of a rapper right outside the Cook County Jail.
Superintendent Brown using this case and that situation as a reason to push for keeping violent offenders in jail.
Illinois has a lower incarceration rate compared to other U.S. states, but it still houses more than 42,000 inmates across various security levels in its state prisons. The reason for this high prison population is mainly because the state has been sending people to prison for minor probation and parole violations, which are not actual crimes. Instead of finding alternative ways to deal with these offenders, they end up serving time in state prisons, causes the population to increase. Thankfully, authorities are aware of this issue and are discussing possible solutions to stop unnecessary prison admissions for technical violations. By addressing this problem, Illinois can potentially save taxpayers money and create a fair and more efficient criminal justice system. At number 7, we have the Logan Correctional Center.
Then on Thursday, WAND learned a lawsuit filed last month accuses prison electrician Milo Zimmer of forcing an inmate on him and continually harassing her, including forcing her to sit on his lap. That lawsuit claims Zimmer then illegally smuggled things like a hair straightener and birthday cake into the prison for that inmate. A state database shows Zimmer has not collected a check from the state since March and is charged with custodial sexual misconduct, the same charge Jeffrey Dozier faces. Also charged with custodial sexual misconduct, now former correctional officer Eric Colrus. A lawsuit obtained by WAND on Friday claims he and another correctional officer forced an inmate to have a laundry room, and many other officers knew what was happening but didn't stop it. It allegedly happened in December of 2015, the same month Colrus stopped working at the prison. The other officer accused in this case has not been charged and, according to records, still works at the prison. And a second lawsuit obtained by WAND on Friday claims a counselor at the prison kissed a prisoner after she used his phone to make a court-allowed call to her daughter. He then allegedly forced her into having twice and forced her to perform him twice as well. The suit claims he implied more time would be added to her sentence if she told anyone. The counselor has also not been charged, and records show he's still employed at Logan Correctional Center.
Stacy, Union President Sean Dawson says an inmate punched a 30-year-old female officer to the ground and continuously stomped on her head before another officer was able to intervene. She was sent to the hospital to look for a dislocated jaw. We're told x-rays came back negative. Dawson says violent incidents toward officers and inmates are the highest at the facility in his 16 years there, and he says around the same time an officer was hospitalized, one inmate attempted to murder another by strangling them with an extension cord. A big problem, he says, is that mental facilities are shutting down and those patients are going into regular prisons, but he thinks prisons lack the required staff to handle that many mentally ill. Dawson says state facilities are moving toward less punishment for infractions, especially for mentally ill inmates, which is causing inmates not to listen to officers.
The Logan Correctional Center is a prison in Illinois specifically for women, and it currently holds around more than 2,000 female inmates. However, there have been serious concerns about the condition inside the prison. According to a report from the Department of Justice in 2016, the inmates there are not receiving the things they are supposed to, and their basic rights are not being respected. The cells are dirty and unhygienic, and there have been reports of female inmates being physically harmed by male guards. Even the drinking water is not clean enough. These problems make the prison a very difficult and unacceptable place for its inmates, and significant changes are needed to improve the situation. At number 6, we have the Centralia Correctional Center. The Centralia Correctional Center is a prison that has been shrouded in secrecy, but Warden Boone recently shed some light on the challenges faced by him and his team. They work extra hours to maintain law and order because the inmates are always causing trouble and looking for opportunities to create problems, resulting in common assaults within the prison. While authorities try to keep an eye on things, former inmates have reported that sometimes even the guards are part of the problem and allow things to become dangerous when they choose to. This makes it a difficult and concerning environment for both the staff and the inmates. At number 5, we have the Illinois River Correctional Center. In Canton, Illinois, There's a medium security state prison that was established in 1989. However, like many other prisons in the state, this one is also dealing with various serious problems. There are not enough staff members, leading to overcrowding and making it difficult to maintain safety. Gang conflicts, drug overdoses, and frequent assaults among inmates are common issues. Unfortunately, the authorities are struggling to provide adequate services and care for the inmates, raising doubts about the prison's mission. Serving time in this facility is likely to be very uncomfortable and challenging for the inmates. At number 4, we have the Pinckneyville Correctional Center.
Corrections officers in Pinckneyville, Illinois face federal charges after they were indicted by a grand jury. All 3 are accused of civil rights violations. The Justice Department alleges Cord Williams and Christian Piles beat an inmate who was wearing handcuffs and leg irons. Officials also accuse Williams and Piles of filing a false report. The Justice Department also alleges Mark Maxwell, who was working as the acting lieutenant, did nothing to stop the alleged beating. Each received a criminal summons to appear in court in federal court in Benton, Illinois on June the 1st. The Pinckneyville Correctional Center is on lockdown after an assault. According to an Illinois Department of Corrections spokesperson, the assault involved an offender and an officer. Officials say both were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Today's lockdown in Pinckneyville comes a day after an incident prompted a lockdown at the Menard Correctional Center. The Chester facility remains on lockdown.
Prison in Pinckneyville, Illinois was opened in 1998 and has several housing units for inmates, along with other essential areas like segregation, administration, and healthcare units. It can hold up to over 2,500 inmates and is classified as a medium security prison. While the authorities are successful in maintaining order and preventing murders in this facility, it has earned a reputation as one of the worst prisons in Illinois due to the poor facilities provided to the inmates, mainly because of overcrowding. The prison is stretched beyond its capacity, leading to a shortage of services and inadequate support for the inmates. At number 3, we have the Dixon Correctional Center.
A manhunt is on for this escaped inmate that you see right here by several state law enforcement agencies across Louisiana. The Department of Corrections says 23-year-old William Chivas escaped from the Dixon Correctional Institute not far from Baton Rouge on Thanksgiving morning. He was serving time for aggravated second-degree battery and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Both sentences were out of Caddo Parish.
State corrections officials say Ms. Chandler was put on paid leave, escorted off prison grounds, and surrendered her state-issued car. Authorities say that is standard operating procedure during an investigation, although tonight the I-Team has learned that on that very same day, here at the Sterling, Illinois home listed as Chandler's residence, there was a police raid. This man, 27-year-old Robert Swan, was arrested at the address he also lists as his home. According to Sterling Police, Mr. Swan's arrest followed a 6-month investigation. Tonight, he is charged with 4 counts of pornography and failure to register as a sex offender from a 2009 child porn conviction.
The Dixon prison, which can hold up to over 2,500 adult inmates, was established in 1983 and is categorized as a medium security facility. One of its major challenges is the lack of enough staff members. A report from 2022 revealed that the prison is short of 200 guards, but because it's considered a minimum security prison, this issue has not received enough attention over the years. As a result, the inmates suffer the consequences as their access to free time and educational opportunities are restricted or sometimes even halted due to staff shortages. Moreover, the facilities within the prison are also deteriorating, and if not addressed soon, they could worsen and create further problems for the inmate.
At number 2, we got the Menard Correctional Center.
We're here at the Menard Correctional Center in Chester, Illinois, a very active scene with not only Illinois Department of Corrections officers, but also Illinois State Police looking into 3 dead people found here. From Bommarito Automotive Skyfox, we could see dozens of correctional officers.
I was more of a target because I spoke out about it.
28-year-old Dion Hampton, who goes by Strawberry, plans to keep talking loudly about what she calls the widespread abuse she suffered in Illinois prisons.
Basically, we have no rights. We're animals, we're creeps, we're sissies, and abomination to God.
And this is according to whom?
Administration, directors, wardens, staff.
They were targeting her because of her gender identity.
Hampton was released from prison Monday after serving 5 years for residential burglary. She spent time at several facilities, including Menard, where Hampton and her attorneys say the abuse due to her gender identity continued.
She was sexually abused by both prisoners and staff. She was touched inappropriately, groped by other prisoners and by staff.
Meanwhile, the Menard Correctional Center in Chester remains on lockdown this morning after staff members were reportedly assaulted on Sunday. A lockdown means no visitors are allowed at the prison. The incident left several offenders injured. None of the injuries are considered serious. Those inmates have been transferred to other prisons for the time being. Authorities are not saying how many staff members and inmates were involved in the altercation. An investigation continues.
The Menard Correctional Center, previously known as Southern Illinois Penitentiary, located in Chester, Illinois. It houses adult males in maximum security and high-medium security. The prison's capacity is over 3,800, and unfortunately, it has been overcrowded since its establishment. Living conditions in this prison are described as extremely terrible, almost like being in hell. Reports have revealed that the indoor situation is exceptionally bad. Shockingly, the guards themselves have been involved in criminal activities like fights, drug use, and sexual violence. Their behavior contributes to the overall terrible situation within the prison. And number one, we have the Stateville Correctional Center.
Stateville Correctional Facility, outside of Chicago, home to some of Illinois' deadliest men. Of the 1,500 inmates, nearly 60% are in for murder. Another 20% are serving time for rape and other violent crimes. Almost everyone here is doing 20 years minimum.
The Stateville Correctional Center is a maximum security prison in Illinois, USA, holding up to over 4,000 extremely dangerous inmates. The prison has been open since 1925 and has expanded its capacity over the years. However, it's considered one of the worst places anyone can imagine being in. Inmates constantly fear being harmed by other gang members, and the living conditions are described as hellish. The drinking water is unsafe, meals provided are often insufficient for proper nutrition, and the cells lack clean sanitation services. Moreover, the guards exert control using excessive force, leading to accusations from former inmates of beatings and unjust solitary confinement. The overall environment is harsh and challenging for those in prison there. We have Cook County as an honorable mention.
2 Cook County inmates died while in custody, one of whom was beaten to death in the maximum security wing. The medical examiner's office says Marvell Reasonover died from multiple injuries from an assault Thursday night. And then on Friday, Melvin Turner was found in his bed. The cause of his death has not been determined.
On Saturday evening, just before 9, a man named Lundry Sylvester was leaving the jail. He went by the rap name KTS Dre. He'd just been bailed out, and police say he was ambushed by 2 men who got out of a vehicle near the jail. Sylvester was shot as many as 64 times and pronounced dead at Mount Sinai. A 60-year-old woman who was with him was shot in the knee and taken to Stroger. A second woman in her 30s was standing nearby when that chaos broke out. She suffered a graze wound to the face. She was taken to Mount Sinai as well, and both women were in good condition at last check. Bullets started flying again, though, outside the jail early this morning, just after midnight. That incident left a 25-year-old man injured. With 2 incidents in as many days, we asked the mayor today if security here needs to be stepped up.
Cook County Jail, located in Chicago, Illinois, was originally designed to accommodate 5,000 inmates, but due to overcrowding issues, it has been forced to hold up to over 10,000 people at times. Throughout its 107-year history, since opening in 1855, the jail has been entangled in numerous lawsuits and scandals. Housing some of the most dangerous criminals in America, it has witnessed multiple riots over the years. Managed by the Cook County Sheriff and occupying 96 acres in South Lawndale, Chicago, Illinois, the facility has been the 3rd largest jail system in the United States concerning inmate population as of 2017, trailing behind Los Angeles County and New York City jail systems. Sorry to say, Cook County Jail suffers from significant drawbacks, including alleged verbal and physical abuse inflicted on detainees by wardens, severe overcrowding, and rat infestation. The visiting system is woefully inadequate, making it extremely challenging for friends and family members to see their incarcerated loved ones, resulting in unjustifiably lengthy wait times. The The state of Illinois is facing significant challenges with its prison system, as evident from the list of the 7 worst prisons in the state. Overcrowding, staff shortages, and inadequate facilities are common issues plaguing these prisons, leading to difficult and even dangerous living conditions for the inmates. The lack of attention to minor probation and parole violations has also contributed to the high prison population. Inmates in some of the prisons face the constant fear of violence, both from other inmates, even from the guards themselves. These prisons are in dire need of reform and improvement to ensure the safety and well-being of those incarcerated within them. Addressing these problems can lead to a fairer and more effective criminal justice system in Illinois, benefiting both the inmates and the community at large.